we're back at it again. This is going to be part 5 of the series, so feel free to go back and check the other 4 videos for all the stuff I've done to try to fix this issue. On the last video, I got a pretty good comment. A guy mentioned that maybe I didn't have the actual throttle blade open enough. I feel like if that was the problem, it would be hard to start every time I tried, instead of starting just fine on the first time of the day when everything's cold and it's in closed loop mode. But as soon as it runs for 2 minutes or so, I can turn it off and try to start it, and then it doesn't want to start. It will start if I give it a little gas, and then it'll do a lot of surging idle for a long time, and before it will eventually maybe smooth out. But the comment I got, it made me go ahead and just increase my idle or my throttle body, open it up on the set screw, just to see how high I had to get it to maybe it would start and stay running on its own. So I've been playing with that for quite a bit today, different throttle RPMs basically, and then every time you adjust that, you got to adjust your TPS again. So where I'm at right now is when I go to start this, we're going to see if it starts up fairly quickly. My TPS is set right now at 0.98. So now my RPM is going to idle at about 1,000. I think, though, the last time I tried it, it seemed to work pretty well. So that makes me feel like I'm just overriding what the IAC should be doing at startup and idle. And it just feels like it's still not working. But I've did my electrical checks, my ohm checks, voltage. I've checked it at the connector. I've checked it at the computer. I'm getting the readings I'm supposed to get based off of the surging idle checklist on StangNet. So I just a minute ago got one of my extra IACs that I have a horde of now, and I plugged it in, even though I kept one on the throttle body. I unhooked the harness and plugged it into a loose IAC just to see if it would start and if I could see the plunger inside moving. And actually, I don't see anything moving at all. I don't know if it should be all the time. That's what it's meant for, is at idle, startup, or if AC's on, different things like that. It helps keep your throttle, your RPM smooth and engine running when you're not at cruising or at open throttle. I'm not moving on any of my other 3 that I have sitting on the shelf, so I'm right back to thinking it's an IAC issue somewhere, but I can't figure it out. All right, so just a few seconds in, it started right up. The idles come down to about 900. Used to be at about 750. Air fuel is kind of right in the stock computer's target, I think, of 14.7. So started up no problem, idling no problem. So we're going to let it warm up a while and then try to restart it and see what happens. Well, we've been running for a few minutes now. Should be enough time to simulate the problem I've been having, if it's there. It doesn't have to be up to full operating temperature. So we'll turn it off here and try to start it back up and see what happens. So it seems to be doing the same thing, but didn't struggle near as much to start. All right, my radio keeps trying to take over my phone and disconnects my video every time I start it up. Let's try it again. So it did start up fairly easily as compared to in the past. The surge just lasted a couple of seconds there. So let's try it again and see what happens. So that's definitely an improvement. Started up again fairly easily, and just a little bit of idle surge, and not even as dramatic. So we're gonna try it again. I don't know that I've ever had 3 in a row where it worked out well. More time. Okay, so definitely running on its own, not taking multiple attempts to start it, not needing to give it any gas, not having a lot of idle surge. I am pessimistic by nature, so I'm not willing to say that it's fixed or that it won't happen again. So I'm going to go take it for a drive and bring it back, get it nice and hot, shut it off, and then see what happens, because I've never had any success in that scenario of not having the issues. Well, I just got back from about a 20-minute drive. About 20 minutes, went and got some gas, took a little bit of a cruise. Plenty warmed up now. We're gonna see what happens. And we're back again, everyone. So most of this video, if you're still sticking with us, you've been just staring at the dash most of the time. It's kind of boring visually, I guess, but just a lot of giving updates of what I've been trying to resolve the not wanting to start when it's warm issue. It's been in about another week since the last content you were just watching, because I've been able to take it out a few times in the evening after work and on another weekend, just trying to get an idea of what it's doing the more times I drive it. And just to recap again, so I have increased the throttle blade opening on this AccuFab throttle body. The nice thing about the AccuFabs is it has an actual slotted screwdriver ability to move the throttle screw, so I don't need a socket and a wrench like the ones I had before from the Explorer throttle body. So that's kind of nice. It makes it easier. Just grab a screwdriver to adjust it. And then I've got the TPS set at about 0.97, 0.98, somewhere right in there. So I have been driving it a few more times. It definitely is much improved as far as starting when it's warm, starting up several times in a day without needing to try to start it several times. So it's not dying. I don't need to feather the throttle anymore to get it to start. It does have a little bit of a surge from time to time. If you restart it after driving for a while, pretty much every time it will have a few blurps before it smooths out, but it doesn't idle as rough for as long before it steadies out. I still feel like that is not the original problem. So if you go back to my other videos, you'll notice that throughout this process I've changed the throttle body. So I used to have a 70 millimeter Explorer throttle body on it. I've changed this during the issue of when I've been trying to figure out what my problem is. So that was not the cause of this, because the issue was happening before I changed this. But I went and changed it through the process anyway, because one, the old Explorer throttle body did not look very good, and I couldn't get it to clean up. And I'm at the point where everything under the hood looks good enough that was a big eyesore. And I was playing around with the setup on it, and I got rid of the spacer that had the ports for the coolant, because those have been blocked off for a long time. So just cleaned things up, gave me a good excuse to buy another part. So again, I feel like it's definitely improved by giving it a little more RPM on the set screw, but I don't think that was the issue. So I'm still hunting for the problem. I think I'm pretty much done working on this issue for now. It's almost October. I got a few more car shows I'm going to try to get to on the weekends. I've messaged Fox Resto out in, I think it's North Carolina. So Matt out there, they rebuilt my computer earlier this spring. They're definitely able to let me send my computer back to them for them to verify that there's nothing going on with the computer. But I'm not going to do that right away. I'll just do that here in another month or so when the weather starts to turn and I have the car stored for the rest of the winter here in Indiana. So pretty much October is about the last month I get to drive it, and then it'll be time for winter projects, and I'll just send the computer out to them at that point and have them verify the idle air control circuits and the MAF circuits. If you watch one of my previous videos, you'll notice that on the MAF I am getting a slightly different reading than what I'm supposed to at the connector for the MAF. So I still feel like that could be it as well, based off of the values I should be getting here from the StangNet posts. I'm a little high for at idle of what that should be, so that could be screwing up something with trying to start it once it's warm and the computer's using the sensor data at that point. It's not using the sensor data at the first start of the day when everything's completely cold. So again, that's kind of where I'm at. Definitely on the right track to get it to run. I think I'm just bypassing whatever the issue is, though. I don't think I've stumbled across the problem of just the throttle blade not being open enough. But it was a good recommendation. It's helped get me a lot further of being able to make it drivable. So you guys won't see another post on this issue until I can get the computer sent and get it back and see if that was the issue or not. So thanks again for following along. I'll look for any other comments you guys have of what I can try.